Hi there. Welcome to lecture 3. We're going to make a web page today. So after this lecture, you'll be able to do the lab, which is we're going to pretend like we're a commercial business and we are going to make a web page. Or at least you're going to make a web page. This is really easy. Making a web page is one of the easiest things to do in a computer science course. Lots of high school students have made their own web pages. This is how easy it is to make one. Very easy. So why are we covering this? Because for folks who are planning on becoming software developers, and they're going to stop at their associate's degree. In other words, they're not going to go get their 4-year degree. Then becoming a web developer is a good option. So you should take a look at it at least, see if you think that's a good path for you. So why is it such a good path for people who are just going to have an associate's degree? Because it's easy to do. I told you, high school kids can make web pages. Um, um, how much knowledge you need is much, much lower than becoming like a Python developer or a Java developer, or you pick any programming language. Um, and there are plenty of jobs because every company has a website. Um, and somebody update your catalog and all this other stuff. I mean, somebody has to do all that work. So that's why there's plenty of jobs for web developers. And again, the skill level is pretty easy because I'm telling you, by the end of this lecture, you're going to be able to make a web page. I promise. This is how easy it is to do this. Though it's an option that people who are just going to stop at their associate's degree and then try to go get a job, you should take a look at and see if it's of interest to you. So before we do that, let's cover this. Where can I get help? Read the lecture notes. That is your best source of information, especially for homework questions. You can go to the Magic Lab during normal business hours. They are closed 1 hour for lunch. You can come to office hours, ask me any questions. I will not give you an answer, but I'll help you find answers. For a lab, I won't do the lab assignment for you, but I'll give you hints on how to do the lab. So if you're stuck, come to office hours or go to the Magic Lab. You can also post questions on the Canvas QA discussion and homework help board. That's there for students to ask questions and for other students to answer those questions. You can either start or join an existing study group. A lot of gamers in this class. They're on Discord. There are issues with those discussion groups on Discord. Language is not appropriate for children, and some of the topics that are discussed are not appropriate for children. So if you are going to do this Discord thing and there's small children in your house, then, don't do it in a way that they can't hear the conversation. They don't need to be exposed to that. You can also send me email. Let's see. Okay, so one of the biggest issues with this upcoming lab is for whatever reason, people think it's okay to go steal other people's stuff on the web. They see music they like, they just steal it. They see a movie they like, they just steal it. And they see a photograph they like, they just steal it. I mean, this is illegal. This is immoral. This is, where is your conscience? Like, I don't understand this. You wouldn't go to somebody's house and, start stealing their silverware. Why do you think it's okay to go to somebody else's website and start stealing their content? I mean, uh, I don't get it. It is illegal. A big problem with this lab because you're going to pretend you're a commercial entity. You're going to make a web page, and there has to be an image on that web page. A lot of students think it's perfectly fine to just go to any website and just steal somebody else's image. I mean, those images belong to somebody. Somebody, took the time to take a photograph with camera, upload it to either their website or somebody else's website. That doesn't mean that they're letting you take it, steal it. They don't. It belongs to them. If you want to take an image, then you need their permission. Um, a very, very small number of images on the web. I mean, extremely small number of images on the web. The owner has given permission for anybody to take the image and do whatever they want with it. But that is a very, very tiny number. You have to go search for those images. Um, be aware just because it says free image doesn't, what does free mean? So Free might mean that it's not 100% free. For it's not like free beer. It's you have to pay a monthly due to be a member of their club or whatever it is they have, their group, and then you can go in there and take images from their collection. I've seen a lot of that. Free might mean, okay, you don't have to pay any money, but it's only free for personal use, not for commercial use. And we're pretending we're a commercial site. So not free for us. You have to pay if you want to take that image. Free can also mean you don't pay anything, but you have to give attribution. Attribution means you have to give credit to where you found the image. So somewhere on the web page, there has to be an attribution saying, I got the image from here. And free can mean all kinds of things. Free can mean, well, you can use as long as you don't change it. You can use it, blah, blah, blah. Lots of restrictions. So you have to read all the restrictions. Just because it says free doesn't mean that you can just take it and do whatever you want with it and put it wherever you want. That's not true. So you got to pay attention to the terms. You know, the person who owns the image is willing to share the image, but what are the terms of that sharing? We have to read the fine print. Um, again, a lot of free image websites require membership dues. So if you're not a member, you cannot take those images. Okay, so the images we want to take are either going to be in the public domain. So if it's in the public domain, anybody can take them and do whatever they want, or it's CC0 or Creative Commons 0. So there, CC0 is right here, Creative Commons 0 is there, and public domain here. These are the three kinds of images that we want. This is what the owner gives permission for you to do whatever you want, and they either said it's in the public domain or CC0 or Creative Commons 0. If it does that, then you can take the image and put it on your commercial website. Some examples. Okay, so for this lab, I do not have time to search for, ownership of every image. So you must include documentation on where you got the image from. Okay, so we're going to do some examples of this. Let's go look at this pizza. That looks pretty good. It's making me hungry. And then so can we use this image? Well, we got to scroll down and see. So it says free to use under the Unsplash license. Okay, well, what does free mean? Does free mean I can use it for commercial websites? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Does free mean let's give attribution? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You have to go look at the terms. So let's open that up and look at the terms. And so here it says anybody can use it, commercial or non-commercial. No attribution is required. And then here are the restrictions. As long as you abide by these restrictions, you can use this image, okay? And for proof, then you take a screenshot of this saying, yep, this is where I got it from. Here's the URL. Here's the license. Here's a screenshot of the license. You need to include that document in your upload for the lab. I do not have time to do all this searching. If you don't include it, I'm going to assume that it's not okay for you to just take it. And the grade will be 0 with no opportunity for a redo, because stealing it's immoral and it's against the law, and I don't tolerate that in this class. If you have a stolen image on your website for your lab assignment, your grade is 0, and the penalty is you don't get to change that grade by turning in a redo. So you should do due diligence and make sure that the image that you have, you're allowed to use. So let's look at another one. And so for this one, it says CC0. You can do whatever you want with this one. And then you would take a screenshot of this license and give me the URL of where you got this image from. Okay. And let's look at this one. And this one is in the public domain. You are free to use this image. You would take a screenshot of this and saying it's in the public domain. And then give me the URL where you got this image. And then we'll do one more. And free to use. But again, what are the restrictions? What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you can just take it. You have to read the restriction. This one has a lot of restrictions. Okay. And here are all the restrictions. But the very top are the most important ones. So you don't have to give any payment. No attribution is required. But can it be used for a commercial website? I don't know. You're going to have to read all of this and find out. I think it's going to be okay, but I'm not going to take the time to read it now. You need to take a screenshot of this page and include the URL of where you got this image. Okay, so what are some other ways to get an image onto your website? Well, you can use the camera on your smartphone and take your own images. That way you own the images. You can put it on your website. That's all allowed. Okay. Um, the other thing you can do is you can draw your own image on paint.net. Pretty easy. Kids love playing around with drawings, and I say, well, this is way too hard. I can't figure out how to do this. Look, this is not hard. Grab a paintbrush, grab a color. We'll use black. Let's draw a house. So okay, this is a really bad house, right? Wouldn't live in this house, but anyway, you get the idea. If you're a lot more careful, you can make this house look a lot better. But it's pretty easy to make things with a drawing, okay? And then you would write a note saying, I drew this, okay? If you took it with a camera, you'd write a note that's saying, I use my own camera to take these images, okay? And you need to include that documentation with the lab. If you don't include it, I don't see it, I'm going to assume that the image is stolen and a zero will be applied. And there is no way that you can undo it by turning in a redo. So triple check before you hit that submit button that that image is okay to use and you have the appropriate documentation uh, stating that. It proves that. Okay. This is the biggest problem I have with this lab. Yes, I'm being very annoying about this because I am tired of people just willy-nilly stealing stuff from the web. This is not right, and I'm not going to put up with it. You're in college now. You're not a child, you're not a first grader where you think that, you can just steal anything you want and get away with it because you look cute and adorable. Well, you're in college now. Um, uh, it's time to act like a responsible person. And let's start by making sure that any image you put on your website for the lab, you're allowed to use. Okay. All right. I think I've said enough. Moving on. Let's actually figure out how we're going to make a web page. We're going to use HTML, hypertext markup language. What the heck is hypertext markup language? We take plain, ordinary English, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, so we take plain, ordinary English, and then we mark it up by putting in tags. So what do you mean by a tag? Here's a tag. Uh, this is the line break tag. So that's going to uh, write the one and then move on down the beginning of the next line and write the two. And then I'll put a line break here. It'll write the, and then it'll move on down to the next line. And then we're going to write the three. And then we'll move on down to the next line and write the four. Okay. So these are tags. That's what I mean by marking up. We're going to take plain, ordinary text, English text, and then mark it up with tags. And so what the heck does this look like? So I'm going to save this. So how do you actually see this image? You go down to where you've got this and double click on it, and it'll appear right there. There it is. Here. I don't want two of these. Hit the refresh button, and there it is. There's the one, and then the line break is the two is on the next line. The line break three is on the next line. Line break four is on the next line. So that's what that BR is, line break. Okay. Let's do a more interesting example. Plain, ordinary text. Come on. Put that in there. All right, let's see what this looks like without any markup. It looks really bad. So let's take a look. No one's going to want to see that on a web page. So we got to use markup language. We're going to mark this up so it makes it look a little more interesting. And again, the most interesting, easiest thing to do is just, let's add some line breaks in there. It'll make it look a lot better. I'm just putting one at the end of every sentence. We got to do one more. Oops, wrong. One more. And let's see what that looks like. It's going to look a lot better. Okay, here we go. We're going to save it. And we're going to refresh this page. And there it is. Okay. And then we can keep going. So tonight we're going to learn how to draw a box. We're going to learn how to do bullets. Tonight we're going to learn how to do these anchors, which is hyperlinks to other websites. We call them anchors. I don't know why it's called an anchor, but that's what it's called. This is an anchor. All it is hypertext to a different website. This goes to the MJC website. If I click on it, it goes to the MJC website. And of course, we're going to learn how to put a photograph with our look how much more interesting this looks already. I mean, this looks a lot better. And so we're not going to cover this in this class. This is an intro class, but the computer science department does offer web development classes, and you will learn in those class. Well, depends on the instructor, obviously. So that's what I do with my web development class, but other instructors will do different things. Um, okay, so I already talked about what this markup is. The most typical one we're going to see is this one. This is the start tag. This is the end tag. Let's look at an example of where we would use end tag. I'll come over here. I'm going to put in bold. The first is the tag for turning on bold. And then at the end of this sentence, I'm going to turn off bold. And that turns off bold. So, and then I'm going to save this. I'm going to hit refresh. Oh, well, I didn't get the first sentence. I got the third sentence. But you can see the third sentence is in bold. Okay, so that's how you use these tags. I'm telling you, this is super, super easy because we start with just plain ordinary text and then we just up. I mean, that essentially is a web page. So very easy to do. So we already covered that. We covered, oh, R is not case sensitive. So if I was to change this BR to all caps, nothing would change it. The page will look identical. I'll show you. Refresh, nothing changes. I can do mixed case. So I can do a lowercase b, uppercase s. Looks exactly the same. Okay, so now if you was to actually change the content, did change. So if I was uppercase this page, I'm changing the content. You'll see those changes. If you change the content, you'll see changes. So I uppercase page. So let's refresh and look at it. So page is all in uppercase now. This rule applies only to tags. So inside the tag, I can use uppercase, lowercase, mixed case, doesn't matter. So there, I'm going to switch that over to uppercase and I'm going to refresh and this page will look exactly the same. Okay, hopefully this is all understandable. Let's see. So we covered that. We covered that. Okay, what's wrong with this HTML code? Hit the pause button, study it for a while, and then once you figure it out, rejoin this lecture. I'm going to tell you the answer now. Problem is we turn on bold, but we never turn it off. We turned off something called C. There is no tag called C. There's a typo. They meant to put a B in there, and they mistyped it and put a B. So that's what's wrong with this one. Okay, it's supposed to look like that. BB, except the end tag has a slash in front of it. Hey, what's wrong with this one? Hit the pause button, study it, figure it out. Okay, what's wrong with this one is the slash is in the wrong place, should be at the beginning. What's wrong with this one? Hit the pause button, figure it out. What's wrong here is the tags are reversed. This is the end tag for turning off bold. So we turn off bold, we write one, and then we turn on bold, but we never turn it off. One will not be written in bold. It'll be written as plain ordinary text because it got the tags reversed. We should have a start tag to the left and an end tag to the right, but the tags are reversed. So that's not good. So 1 will not be in bold, but 2, 3, 4 will be in bold because we left bold on. So 1 will be normal text, 2, 3, 4 will be bold. We don't want that. We wanted 1 to be bold and 2, 3, 4 to be normal text, so it's backwards. Okay. What's wrong with this? Hit the pause button. What's wrong with this is we turn on bold, write the 1, turn on bold again, and then write 2, 3, 4. Everything's going to be bold. So we meant here to turn off the bold, but we mistyped it. So we didn't include the slash. So this turns on bold, we write the 1. Turns on bold again, we turned it on twice, and then we write 2, 3, 4. Everything's going to be bold. So that's what's wrong with that one. And what's wrong with this one, hit the pause button, is we turn off bold, write the 1, turn off bold. We never even turned bold on, so it's a typo. We should have turned bold on here, write the 1 and turned it off. But here we turned it off, wrote the 1, turned it off, wrote 2, 3, 4. Nothing is going to be in bold. We're turning things off that were never turned on. That's not right. That's an error. Okay, you figure out what this HTML code does. Look at it, hit the pause button. I'm going to tell you what it does now. We turn bold on, we write 1, 2. 1 and 2 will be in bold. Then we turn bold off. 3, 4 will be in normal text. Hopefully this is all making sense. It's going to look like this. 1 and 2 is bold. 3 and 4 is normal text. You can see it right here. Everything highlighted is bold because we turn bold on, we turn bold off. What are we doing? We're putting 1 and 2 in bold, and then 3, 4 is in normal text. So it's going to look like that. Hopefully this is making sense. Moving on. What does this one do? Pause if you need to. 1 and 2 is going to be normal text. We turn bold on, and then we turn bold off. So 3 will be in bold, and 4 will be normal text, and it's going to look like that. And hopefully now you know what this does without having to pause the video. 1, 2, 3 will be in normal text. We turn bold on, we turn bold off here, so 4 will be in bold, okay? And it'll look like that. Okay, it's getting harder. What does this do? Pause if you need to. Here we turn on bold, and then we turn it off, so 2, 3 will be written in normal text. Then we turn on bold again, and we write 4 in bold. So 1 will be in bold, 4 will be in bold, 2, 3 will be in normal text. It's going to look like that. Okay, we have different things we can do besides bold. I is for italic, U is for underline. Hopefully it's becoming really, really obvious that whoever invented HTML was an English speaker, because, first letter in bold is B, first letter in italic is I, first letter in underline is U. And that is fact. Whoever invented HTML was an English speaker. Okay, you figure out what this code does. On and off, and so 1 will be written in bold. We turn italic on and off. 2 will be written in italic. We turn underline on and off. 3 will be written as underline. It's going to look like that. 1 is bold, 2 is italic, 3 is underline. You actually get a sheet of paper and do this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and mark it up so that 1 is normal, 2 is italic bold, and 3 is normal text. You're going to have to hit the pause button to do this. I'm going to go over the answer now. This is pretty easy, not that difficult. 1 is normal text, so I'm just going to write the 1. 2 is italic bold, so I need to turn on italic. Then I need to turn on bold, then I write the 2, and then I'm going to turn off the bold and turn off the italic, because 3 is normal text, so we got to turn both off, and then we write the 3. So that is one possible correct answer. Oops, what the heck happened there? I don't know. I don't know what I did, but we can do it again. 1 is normal. We turn on italic. We turn on bold. Come on. And then we write the 2. Then we turn off. Then we turn off the bold, and we turn off the italic. And then 3 is normal text. Some spacing in there might help. Already got spacing right there. Okay, so I can put the spacing here. Doesn't matter. Put it somewhere. Okay, so that's one possible correct answer. Here's another possible correct answer. I'm going to reverse this. So instead of turning on italic first, I'm going to turn on bold. And then I'll turn on italic, which means I need to reverse this. Okay, and that is another correct answer. Let me give you an incorrect answer. Let's start with this. This is incorrect. And we're going to turn off italic and turn on bold. And I'll give you the last incorrect one. And then we're going to discuss why is the first two correct and the last two incorrect. So hang on. First, let me show you the incorrect. This should be a B. This should be an I. Okay, so what's going on here? The last thing I turn on is bold, so that's the first thing I have to turn off. The last thing I turn on is italic. That's got to be the first thing I turn off. This is incorrect because the last thing I turned on is bold, but that's not the first thing I turn off. This is incorrect because the last thing I turned on is italic, and that's not the first thing I turned off. Then, well, how in the, I don't understand any of this. How am I going to understand this? We can draw boxes. Let me demonstrate what do I mean by boxes. This makes a lot more sense once you see the box. Why can't I start a new drawing? I don't know. We're going to find out. Can I start a new drawing? Yes, I can. Let's up this font size so we can see this. I'm going to go up to 36, paste. All right, what I'm going to do now is draw a box. I'm going to draw it in blue. I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of bold and the end of bold. Yeah, I made that box too high, but that's okay. All right, then I'm going to switch colors, maybe go to red. And I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of italic and the end of italic. Okay, what I got is a box inside of a box. I got no intersecting boxes. This is well-formed XML. This is legal. Okay, let's do that for this one. And you're going to see it's going to be the same thing. And let's put it in. Let's make it black. Okay, let's pick blue. I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of italic and the end of italic, and then we'll switch colors over to red. And I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of blue and the end of blue. And you can see we've got boxes inside boxes, no intersecting boxes. This is well-formed XML. All right, let's do an illegal one, and you're going to see a dramatic difference. It's not going to look anything like those two. Let's do this one. We'll put it in black. I'm going to first use a red box. Oops, it didn't go to black. All right, let's try that again in black. Come on. There it is in black. All right, we're going to switch over to blue. I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of B and the end of B. And then I'm going to switch off colors. We're going to go to red. I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of I and the end of I. Okay, we got a problem. We don't have boxes inside boxes. This red is intersecting with this blue. I mean, they cross into each other. This is not well-formed XML. Now, be careful at a job interview. Do not draw diagrams that look like this. I've never seen anybody explain how do you figure out if something is well-formed XML or is not well-formed XML. So this is the idea I came up with. I don't think anybody else does this. At least I've never seen it in any textbooks. So don't do that at a job interview. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Okay. And this is just an easy way to verify if something is well-formed or not well-formed. So these are the two correct solutions. The last thing I turn on is I. The first thing I turn off is I. The last thing I turn off is B. The last thing I turn off is B. And we see we have boxes inside boxes. This is not well-formed XML. Last thing I turn off is I, but that's not the first thing I turn off. Illegal. You're going to have intersecting boxes. Okay. So what the heck happens if oh, I don't have to do that. I can just show them all. All I got to do is just BR this. Okay, let me BR this. line break. All right, let's look at this page, see what it looks like. The first two will be legal, the last two will be illegal. Let's see what the browser does with the illegal ones. And then I'm going to explain why you see what you see. Okay, so let's look at this. They look identical. So what happened? You said it was illegal. So what's going on? Okay, so the browser is trying to get as much market share as possible. Now imagine some web developer uh, didn't know what they were doing and they incorrectly wrote this like this. So the browser sees that that's wrong. But if it displays an error message and a casual user, so the browser is trying to reach out to millions upon millions of people, because the more customers they have using their browser, the more opportunities they have to put some advertising in there somewhere and make some money. Um, and so the browser is going to say, well, it's wrong. The person who wrote this web page doesn't know what they're doing. I'm going to do the best I can to figure out what their intent was and then render the page the way as best as I can to the way that they intended it to be rendered. So it's a guess because they don't really know. All they know is this is wrong. Something is not right. And they'll do the best they can to figure out what the intent of the person who wrote this is. And that's why you see what you see. Browsers do not want to lose market share by putting in crazy error messages on a web page saying, this web page is wrong. Because when a user sees that, they're not going to have any understanding of why it's wrong, just because the person who wrote the page messed up. So it's not the fault of the reader. It's not the fault of the browser. It's the fault of the person who created the web page. But the reader isn't going to know that, right? The reader is probably not a technical person, doesn't understand anything about HTML, just knows that, oh, why are there all these crazy error messages on this web page? This browser is just horribly broken. Let me switch over to a different browser. See, that's what they want to avoid. They don't want readers who are reading this to switch over to a different browser. They're trying to become, the most downloaded browser in the entire world. So, market share. It's all about market share. Can I do this? Pause the video, figure it out. Is this legal? Is this well-formed XML? You're going to need to pause the video to look at this. There's no way you can just look at it and say, yep, it's legal or not legal. Pause the video, figure it out. And here, I'm going to do it manually, just so prove to you that this is well-formed XML. And some of you are not going to believe me, which is fine, but I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm going to have to go down lower because there's a lot more letters here. Let's paste that. We can probably go up one notch. Let's go to 28. Okay, that's about as far as we're going to go. Let's put it in black. And I'm going to get blue, and I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of a B and the end of a B. Then I'll switch colors. Let's go to red. I'm going to draw a box around the beginning of a B and the end of a B. And let's switch colors. Let's go to green. And I'm going to put a box around the beginning of a B and the end of a B. And lo and behold, I got boxes inside boxes. I have no intersecting boxes. This is well-formed XML. Now, would any sane person write it like this? No, do not write it like this at a job interview. You will not get the job because everything is bold. The easiest way to have written this is turn on the bold tag and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turn it off without all these other extra tags in the middle. Hopefully you see that. All right, there it is again, well-formed XML. Okay, you should actually do these exercises. Get a piece of paper and a pencil and actually do this exercise at the very top. You're gonna have to pause the video. There's no way you can do this in your head. You're gonna have to pause the video. I'm gonna give you the answer now. So 1 is bold, which means I have to turn bold on. First one's easy. Turn on the bold. 2 is normal text, which means, okay, I got to turn off the bold. And then I write the 2 as normal text. 3 is italicized. Okay, well, I need to turn on italic, write the 3. And 4 is not italic, so I got to turn off the italic. And 4 is normal text. Oh, it's underline. So U, and then we write the 4. And then we turn off the underline. pause the video and do this one. You're going to have to pause the video. There's no way you can get this in your head. Pause the video and actually write this out. All right, so one is bold. So turn on bold. Doesn't matter, but I still like to see it in lowercase. 1 and 2 is bold, so keep bold on, but it's also italic. So now turn on italic and write the 2. So 2 is now bold and italic. 3 is bold, italic, and underline. Okay, well, I already got bold turned on. I got italic turned on. I need to turn on underline and then write the 3. And then 4 is normal text, turn everything off, but order now we know is important. The last thing I turned on was U. That's got to be the first thing I turned off. Next to the last thing I turned on is I. That's got to be the next thing I turn off. And the very first thing I turned on was B. That's got to be the last thing I turned off. So it goes in reverse order. U, I, B. Just go in reverse order, and you'll get it right, and you'll have boxes inside boxes, no intersecting boxes. This is well-formed XML, and that is the answer to that one. Oh, we got to write the 4. There. Okay. All right. Let's do the next one. Pause the video. This is the hardest one. There's no way you can do this in your head. You're gonna have to pause the video and give this some thought. This one's the hardest one. 1 is bold. All right. Turn on bold, write the 1. That was easy. 2 is bold and italicized. Okay, well, it's already bold, so I just got to turn on italic, write the 2. 3 is italicized, but it is not bold. I got to turn off bold. This is illegal. Can't do it like this. Cannot just turn off bold like this, because the last thing I turned on is I, so that's got to be the first thing I turn off. Okay, so now I've got italic and bold turn off, but I want 3 to be italic, so I got to turn italic back on. Then I'm going to write the 3. So 3 is now italic. 4 is normal text. Well, the only thing turned on is I, so I just need to turn off the I. And I can write the 4. And there's the answer. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. Moving on. Some tags have attributes. Let's look at the font tag. I'm going to first start off with fonts, and then this font tag has attributes. The 3 attributes we're going to look at is typeface. You know, what the heck is a typeface? Well, if we look at Word, we're going to see what a typeface is. Launching Word. Let's up this so we can really see this. Okay, I'm going to write 1. And that one is in whatever APTOS. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I can change this typeface. I can change it to this. I got to highlight it. And now I'll change it to that. See, it does look very different. What? And then I can change it to this. It looks different. These are the typefaces. Let's pick something really wild and crazy. How about this? See, definitely looks different. Okay. And I like scripts. Oh, let's do that one. Ooh. Okay. So you can see the difference. Okay. That's the typeface. Okay. That's what I mean by face. Face is which typeface are you using? I like Arial, so I'm going to go face. That's the name of the attribute. Equal sign is the value I'm going to set it to. The value has to be in double quotes. Inside the double quotes, then you write the name of the new typeface that you want to use. I'm going to use Arial because it's easy to spell. It's only one word. The next one I want to look at is size. Size can be anywhere from 1 to 7. 7 is the biggest. So name of the attribute is size, equal sign, double quote for the value 7, close the double quote. And the last thing I want to look at is color. The name of the attribute is color. I'm going to use the equal sign to give it a value and double quote the value. And the color I want to use is blue. All right. And I'm going to end this font tag. So this is the start tag. Now, whatever I type in here is going to appear in this font. So let's write 1, 2, 3. And then I turn off the font tag. Okay, so I turned on the font tag. This is turning it on. 1, 2, 3 is written in that font. Then I turn off the font tag. So we're back to the default font. Let's look at this. Let's see what it looks like. Here we go. Come over here. There it is, 1, 2, 3, written in Arial. in the color blue with a size of 7. We can change these values, obviously. Let's play around. Let's change some of these values. I don't want blue. I want green. Let's lowercase it just so you know that the color values can be uppercase, lowercase, or mixed case. I'm going to refresh, and we're going to see the same thing, except it's going to be in green. Okay, so you can change the color. Don't make up crazy colors that don't exist. Strawberry blue. There's no such color as strawberry blue. All right. And so what happens when it sees a color it doesn't understand? It says, I won't what that color is. Here, I'll give you a color, but I don't. There's no such color. You just made that up or misspelled it or whatever, but there's no such color. So what does it do? It's going to pick a color. We didn't save it. Okay, now we're going to try refreshing it. And it did change the color. It's a much brighter green. Back in the old days, if it didn't understand the color, all browsers picked black, but that was many, many, many years ago. That's no longer the case. Okay, let's put this back to a color that we do know. How about let's try orange. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, try orange. Put it back to a color we understand, and it's in orange. Okay. I told you the size. 7 is the largest, 1 is the smallest, 3 is the default. Let's see what 3 looks like. It's going to look a lot smaller. So that's the default size. You can imagine 1 is so tiny you barely can see it. Not sure why people use 1. It seems like way too tiny for me, but I'm going to put it back to 7 so we can see it. And I already talked about the typeface. I chose Arial. I could have chose a different one. Let's try script. Going to look totally different. Here we go. There we go. See, totally, totally different. So we can change the typeface. The default is Times New Roman. Back in the old days, the default color is black and the size is 3. So what that means is if you want to use the default font, then you don't have to specify the face. I can just take that out. And now it's going to show in the default Times New Roman, size 7, orange. Let's take a look at that. So default's the Times New Roman. If you want the default color, then take off the color. And let's see what the default color is for this browser. Maybe black, maybe not. Let's take a look. Okay, for this browser, it is black. Not all browsers will set the default color to black. Back in the old days, all of them did that. That's no longer true. What do you mean by different browser? For Windows, the 3 main browsers is Firefox, Edge, and Chrome, and they all do different things. I'm using Firefox. Okay. What else? If we take that off, then everything's going to be defaulted. And we're back to 3, default color black, Times New Roman. Okay. I'm going to put all this stuff back. I can change the order of this. Face does not have to be the first attribute. I can make it the last attribute or the middle attribute. Order doesn't matter. I'll show you that right now. There we go. We're back to our orange 1, 2, 3, written in script. We'll change one more order. We'll put this in the front. Order doesn't matter. And if I refresh it, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 written in script in orange. The uppercase and lowercase of these attribute names, I believe, does not matter. Let's find out. Okay, nobody would ever spell color like that. Mixed case. Let's see if that works. I think it will in Firefox. Does. Will it work like that in every browser? That I don't know. You'd have to test it. Okay. So what are the legal colors we can use? That's pretty easy to find out. Just go to Google. Web safe colors. There's a chart. There you go. These are all the colors. Let's try cherry. Colors. Here we go. Let's refresh this page to see what it looks like. That is not cherry. Okay, well, that is interesting. Don't know, can't explain it. um, I basically stick to, black, white, red. You get the idea. The colors that you found, when you was a child and you got your box of crayons that had 7 or 8 colors in it, those basic colors. It should do cyan. That is a basic color. Let's see if it does. It does. Okay. Um, and is it violet or purple? I don't know. Let's try purple. And then we'll do another one for violet. I have no idea if that means the same thing. And Firefox, let's find out. All right. Let's see. They are different. Interesting, huh? So it's not purple, it's violet. That is weird. I was not expecting that. Wow, what does it do in other browsers? I don't know. You have to try it out in other browsers. I do have it. Okay, we got to pay attention to these quotes. This is where people mess up on this because they don't use a text editor to do this lab exercise. They insist on using a word processor, which is not a good idea. I'm going to try this in Microsoft Word. You're going to see the difference. Let's up this way, way up so you can see the difference. I'm going to do a double quote. Hello, double quote. You can see that we have curved quotes. That's what word processors do. They will write curved quotes. Those curved quotes not recognizable by HTML. So I don't know what that symbol is. That is not a quote, and it will not treat it as a quote. A quote symbol in HTML looks like this. Oops. Looks like that. Okay. Straight up and down, not curved. Okay. If you have curved quotes, web browsers, I don't know what that is. I have no clue. What the heck is that? I don't, not in my vocabulary. That's a syntax error. For HTML, you want to use a text editor. What's that text editor? So this is a word processor. Duh, give it away. The name of this thing is called Word. It's a word processor. Uh, um, Everybody who has a Windows machine has the text editor notepad because it's part of Windows. It's right here. This is a text editor. What the heck is all that? Don't know. New tab. 1, 2, 3. You can see the default. Help if I can spell 3 correctly. The default is straight up and down. In fact, I don't think there's any way to turn this into a curved quote. The curved quotes are called smart quotes. The straight up and down ones, I call them straight quotes. What is the official? Yeah, straight and smart. Okay, I did get it right. If you are using Notepad, I mean, why? Because a much better text editor for Windows is Notepad++. Much, much better. You should be using that. It's a free download. Notepad++. There it is right there. Click on it. And you can see that all my quotes are straight up and down quotes. So people who are using Apple, you know, Mac, uh, go find a text editor. There's lots of free text. The default one, you'll get the wrong quotes and your web correctly because HTML doesn't understand those curved quotes. Those quotes didn't come into existence till long after HTML was invented. Back in the old days, all quotes were straight up and down quotes. At least that's what I remember. Could be remembering wrong, but that's what I remember. These are the default values. For now, color depends on the web browser. Browsers do set, if you don't specify the size, it does set it to 3. And I think all web browsers use Times New Roman, but again, I didn't check it. Who knows? Try it out in the web browser that you like to use and see what happens. Okay. Okay, we covered all of this. I think we're ready to move on. Oh, what happens if you put in a crazy color that doesn't exist? This color does not exist. Oh, I already talked about that. Light Swedish blonde hair with a tint of red. There's no such color. It'll just pick a color. So we already did that. So what if you have an attribute that doesn't exist? So let's look at that situation. Did I lose? Where am I? Okay. I think I lost it. There it is. Okay. What if I pick an attribute? What if I write an attribute name doesn't exist? This attribute does not exist. Okay, there is no such attribute as this. Set it to something. I don't know. Hello, I'm just making stuff up. So what happens when the web browser sees this thing? What the heck is that? I don't know what that is. I'm just going to skip over it. So this will render. Doesn't know what this is. So it just says, well, I don't know what that is. I'm just going to skip it. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. See, no error messages on the screen. Nothing that says, you idiot. There's no such attribute. So nothing like that. Because again, they're trying to build up market share with readers. They want millions and millions and millions of readers using their web browser. So that's why. Okay. Yeah, we're going to skip the rest of this. I think we've beat this enough. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to this one. I want to make a web page that looks like that. Okay, I'm going to start with this. We're going to have to rearrange the text, get it to look perfect. So we need to scoot this over. Let's scoot this over. Let's scoot this over. There, it's perfectly lined up. I want to write a web page that's going to produce that. And well, I said, well, that's easy. Just copy it out and let's launch Notepad++. That is Notepad++. Okay, so one of the advantages you have with Notepad++, if you highlight all of this and do Control-Shift to the left. All right, what is it? I have forgotten what the command is. It's been too long since I had to do it. All right, I'm going to just do it manually. I don't remember the command. There is a command to shift all these to the left edge. I forgot what it is. I don't use it that often. Okay, I say, well, let's just use that and see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to save it and let's render it. Doesn't look anything at all like that. So what the heck happened? This is what I wanted. Where's my web page? All right, I do not have dual screen, so this is hard. This is what I got. Let me see if I can get this right. Yeah, there it is. I got side by, well, this one is the web page. This is the text editor. It doesn't look anything at all like this. This is what I want. So what happened? Pause the video, stare at it, figure out what went wrong. Okay, one of the things that went wrong is we have no line breaks here. It's all on one line. Let's add some line breaks, see if that helps. It's going to help a little bit, but it's not going to fully solve the problem. BR, copy, paste, 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 paste. Okay, let's render that. Starting to look better, but it still doesn't look like this. So what happened? Pause the video, figure it out. So what happened to all these spaces? It condensed all those spaces into a single space. And that's what web browsers do. It says, got way too much space here. I'm going to do you a favor and reduce the number of spaces because there's no need for all these spaces. Well, there is for us because that's exactly what we're trying to do. We want all those spaces. So if we want all those spaces, we have to replace all these spaces with the HTML code for a space. And so let's do that. I'm going to replace a space character with, here is the code. It's ampersand, no break, space, semicolon. That is the symbol for a space in HTML. Replace all the blanks with that. I'm going to get that. Save this. Let's render this. It's going to look better, but it's still not going to be perfect. Looking better, but why is it all jagged here? What the heck happened there? Pause video, think about that. I'm going to tell you why it's all messed up. Here's the letter I. Here's the letter W. Notice the width of I is much, much smaller than the letter W. That's why this is all messed up, because these letters don't have equal width. They're all different. And so that's what's messing all of this up. What we want is a typeface where the width of all the letters are exactly the same. Going, how in the world are you going to achieve that? We're going to set it to Courier. That is one of the typefaces that has equal spacing. We just have to find it. You are, there it is. That I has the same width as this W. In fact, all the letters have the same width. Okay, that's Courier. That came from ancient typewriters. Ancient typewriters, all the letters had to be this exact same width, or the typewriter. But it wasn't until we got smart typewriters. The old dumb typewriters, the manual typewriters, all the letters have the same width. That was the only way you could do it. Okay, so let's switch this to Courier. We know how to do that now. We start with the font tag. I like it lowercase. We want the face, and we're going to set that to Courier. We'll set it to Courier new. And then below all of this, so we're going to write all of this out in typeface Courier. And then we want to end the font. All right. So we turn on the font, we set it to Courier. We could here also up the font size so we can see this better. We'll set it to 7. All right, let's take a look at what we got. Messed up, has to be a double quote there. Get rid of this. Don't need this anymore. Save that and let's render it. Voila, perfect list, okay? Yeah, didn't include that. Oh, because it's not there. All right, well, you can fix that up if you want. I was more worried about this, okay? All right, so we know how to do that. Moving on. Step by step, everything I just told you in excruciating detail. So if I'm going too fast, you can go back through the lecture notes, take it at your own pace. Okay, so we've been writing our HTML document completely wrong. HTML documents are supposed to start with an HTML tag. Let's see if I can up the font size of this. Well, that didn't do anything. Can I do something with the mouse pointer? That doesn't make it any bigger. Wow. Well, okay, well, it is what it is, okay? I don't know how to make the font bigger. We're going to start with an HTML tag. And we're going to have to end with an HTML tag. This tells the browser this is an HTML document. In other words, we're using hypertext markup language for HTML. Different languages have different markup languages, okay? Inside of HTML, we break it up into 2 sections, the head section and the body section. Notice I am indenting very carefully so you can see that the HTML has these 2 sections. Inside the head section is stuff that will not be displayed on the web page. It's just more information about this web page. One of the most important pieces of information we can put here is the title tag. Let's give this name a title. My web page. Oh, my page. We want to keep it short, and then you'll see why in a minute. Let's just keep it short for now. Inside the body is everything. Everything that is typed here will appear on the web page. Okay, I know, very long sentence. Okay. If you put anything inside the head section, it will not appear on the web page. All of that has to go in the body. Let's see what this web page looks like. Looks like that. And now look at this. There is my page sitting up here. Where did that come from? That came from my title tag. My page, my page. Okay, so this title tag will set the value that's inside the tab for the web browser. That's what the title tag does. It's the title for the tab, the web page tab. Okay. All right, moving on. So we've got that covered. So all the web pages for the lab should start with this. Okay. Now we know about that. So okay, I already explained all this. This is well-formed XML. Here's the green box outlines the beginning of the HTML tag, the end of the HTML tag. This blue box, the beginning of the head tag, end of the head tag. This blue box, beginning of the body tag, end of the body tag. I got boxes inside boxes, no intersecting boxes. This is well-formed XML. Okay. Not sure what all that's about. This is what a blank document looks like. Especially if you want a title, has to have for a proper web page, you must start with HTML and end in HTML, and you must divide your web page into two sections, a head section and a body section. All right. And it's just a regular text file. You just got to create it with Notepad. What you got to do is make sure it ends in .html or .htm. If you do that, then all you got to do is just double click this and it'll appear as a web page on your default web browser, which apparently mine is set. I don't know, what is it set? It doesn't matter. I'm using Firefox and I manually set it, but it will appear with using whatever your default web browser is. And so what do you turn in for homework? Well, you just, that could be the answer to question whatever, right? Just put that in there. For the lab, you want to start off like this, okay? For the lab, I am looking for that beginning HTML tag and HTML tag. I'm looking to see if you divided up your web page into a head section and a body section. I'm looking for that in the lab. Make sure you include all of that. All right, moving on, moving on, moving on. We did all this, we did all this, we did all the next thing is, here's some of the colors that I use. Oh, look, I use purple instead of violet. Betcha back in the I used a web browser back in the old days where purple rendered as purple. Well, we tried purple and it did give it a color, but it wasn't purple. So anyway, common colors, again, think back when you was a child and you got your box of 7 colors, your crayon box of 7 or 8 colors. Some boxes have 7, some boxes have 8. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. But these are some of the colors that were in there, okay? All right, and here's what the colors look like. Could be purple. Yeah, it's purple. Okay. All right, I take it back. That is purple, but it's not the same color as violet. But violet is purple, so I don't understand that. Maybe violet is not really purple. I have no idea. Okay, now we have brought up the $1,000,000 question, and I have to figure it out. Um, um, all right, we're going to assume it's going to use smart AI. Is purple the same as violet? Ah, they're not the same. Okay. Huh, I didn't know that. All right, learn something new every day. They are not the same colors, so what we did was correct. Okay. Interesting. Some of the more common typefaces, don't pick a typeface that doesn't exist. I already showed you that. Um, these ones exist on just about every computer. It's the typeface that's on the reader's computer. The person, you're gonna hopefully you make a website and you're gonna have millions of customers looking at this web page. Um, and these typefaces are on just about every computer. Now, I don't know about computers in foreign countries that, China and Vietnam and India. I don't know. But in America and in England, we know what these colors are. Okay. I mean these typefaces, not colors, typefaces. Let's do header. Okay, go off. I'm going to do H1, which is the largest header, goes to H6. I'm just going to say H1 so you'll see it. And then I'm going to do the smallest one. H6 is the smallest header. And you're going to see a dramatic difference. All right, let's take a look at that. H1 and H6, here we go. And let's refresh this page. What is this? Get rid of that. We don't want that. You can see a big difference in the size. There's H1, there's H6, okay? And I do have what it looks like for all the in-between sizes somewhere. Here it is right here. So largest one is H1, smallest one is H6. Can't even see H6. Why anybody uses H6 is beyond me. But there they are. This is for headers. Like if you're doing an outline, you want some headers and you want it to be bigger than the normal text on the page. So that's when you would use this. At least that's when I use it. P is for paragraphs. Let's see what a paragraph looks like. I'm going to start off with a paragraph. I'm going to put some sentences in my paragraph. Going to be real simple sentences. 1, 2, 3. What a line break. 4, 5, 6. What a line break. So they look like paragraphs. Come on. 7, 8, 9. And then I'm going to end the paragraph. And I'm just going to copy and paste it so we have 2 paragraphs. And let's see what that looks like. I am going to put a line break here. Now let's duplicate this paragraph. So I have 2 paragraphs. Let's see what that looks like. Saving it. Let's render it. Okay, so you can see that a paragraph adds extra white space. So this is a line break, line break, line break. But a paragraph, I have extra space, extra vertical space between the 2 paragraphs. So these 2 paragraphs look like they are really 2 paragraphs with a bunch of white space separating them out. Okay, so that's what a paragraph does. And you're going, how did you do that? Well, I start off with a paragraph tag, end with a paragraph tag, and then just put a bunch of lines in it. So that's how I did it. Okay, so we did that. Moving on, moving on. You want to see another example? Here it is. So it's going to look like that. And so you can easily see this is 1 paragraph. This is the 2nd paragraph. This is a 3rd paragraph. Without me reading any of this, I'm just looking at spacing. I see a big empty blank space. I know I started a new paragraph. Okay. Bullets. Let's do bullets. I like bullets. Who doesn't like bullets? All right, start off a bullet. I got to start with an unordered list. Do not forget that. Unordered list. If you forget that, then your bullets are going to be mixed in with all the other bullets on the web page. And you don't want that. Okay, so to make a bullet, it's a list item, li, so 1, and that list item. So we have well-formed XML, and we'll make that a 2. We'll make this a 3. So I should have bullets 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look. I'm going to save it. Let's render this page. There it is, bullets, 1, 2, 3. That's how you make bullets. Let's move on. I think the next thing is table. It is. Let's do a table. Tables are easy. We start off with a, guess what? Table tag. We end with, guess what? A table tag. So inside here, tables are made up of rows. So I need a tag for a row that is tr table row. So this is going to be my first row. Here's the end of my first row. And then what are we going to put in there? We're going to put it in 3 columns. Now, it is not TC, table column. It is TD, table data. Don't ask me. I did not invent this language. In order to find out why they did it that way, you'll have to go talk to the person who invented HTML. And why did they choose TD instead of TC? Anyway, it is TD, 1. There's my first column. It's going to fill with 1. And let's just copy and paste this, save some time. We'll change this to 2. We'll change this to 3. Okay, so my first row is going to have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. So let's make another row. And here we'll put in 4, 5, 6. And let's take a look at it. It's going to look horrible. I'm going to fix it, but let's take a look at how bad it looks. Looks like, what is that? Doesn't even look like a table. Doesn't look like a table because we don't have any grid lines. Let's put some grid lines in there. It's called border, attribute border, equal sign, double quote. How thick do you want this border? I'm going to set it to size 1. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Now it's going to look like a table. There, does look like a table now. Oh yeah, so one of the reasons why tables are so cool is they auto adjust in size. So here, I'm going to make this 333, make this incredibly long. Now watch what happens. Got a super, super long column on the 3rd column and a super short one on the 2nd row. Let's see how it resolves that conflict. So this one is very long. This one's very short. They're on different rows, but they're connected to the same table. Let's take a look and see what happens. Wrong. I have to do this. I didn't save it. Let's try that again. There, notice it self-adjusts. Also goes with height. So here's one. I can do a line break. 1 line break. Uh, 1. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Here we go. Going to self-adjust. I keep hitting that. Stop that. So you can see that as a, well, in order to get 1, 1, 1 on 3 different lines, I need to make this taller, and it made column 2 taller and column 3 taller. So it self-adjusts. This is why people love HTML tables. They're very, very easy to work with. Okay. All right. Moving on with tables. I think the next thing is image. Let's find out. So if I'm going too fast, you can go through these slides, one slide at a time at your own pace. I'm moving on because I already covered all this. Photographs. All right. So on my file, on this folder, I have 2 photographs of a cat, cat.gif, cat.ping. Let's pick one of them and render it. So how do I do that? Let's get rid of this table. Don't want this. We start with an image tag, img. Img is shorthand for image. Now we have to cite where the heck is this image. Source. SRC is shorthand for source. And then here's where you write the name of the file. Well, cat.ping. Cat.ping. All right, let's take a look at this. This should show us a cat. Let's find out. And refresh, and there is our cat right there. So that's how you do images. Now, this trick only works if the HTML, junk.html, and the picture, cat.ping, is in the same folder. If they're not in the same folder, then this will not work, okay? Yeah, you would have to specify the full path of where the image is. But if they're in the same folder, you can do this. An example of this would be, let's make another junk folder just to show you that these images have to be in the same folder. I'm going to move my image to this folder. So now we are not in the same folder, and watch what happens. This code will break because I can't find the image. I don't want to go there. I want to just, I got to save it first. Save. Oh, I don't. Okay, we just changed the image. We didn't change anything else. Let's refresh it. Broken image, can't find it. So, well, why can't you find it? Because it's not here. There is no cat.ping. The image is inside of junk. So I thought, well, so I have to tell it where it is. Well, it's inside junk. So now if I render this page, it'll render it correctly. So let's refresh it, and there it is. Okay. Got it back in the same folder. That's what I want. Okay. So that's images. The next thing is hyperlinks, called an anchor. Don't ask me why it's called an anchor. I have no idea. There it is. Okay, so start off with an anchor. Then href, hyperlink reference. Where am I going to go if someone clicks on this hyperlink? That's href, hyperlink reference. And I'm going to go to the https mjc.edu website. Notice you do have to start with https. Some websites, some older websites will take HTTP. The S is more secure, it's encrypted. You don't want to be typing credit card information on any website that doesn't end with S, HTTPS for secure. Okay. Okay, I'm going to close off this anchor tag. Now I'm going to put in the words that's going to appear on the web page. Click me, okay? And then turn off the anchor. Going, what the heck are you doing? Remember, this is the start tag. This is only the start tag, okay? Has an attribute called href, which is where it's going to go when you click on it. So you write the start tag, then you follow up with, well, what is the contents of this anchor? It's click me, and then you end the anchor. So I don't get it. Same thing with bold. 1, 2, 3, and then we turn it off. We turn it on, we turn it off. So we turn it on, write whatever it is we want in bold and turn it off. So we're doing the same thing here. This is my start tag for anchor. We write whatever we want to appear inside the anchor. Click me, and then we turn it off. Okay, same concept. We're not doing anything different here. Let's see what that looks like. And if I click on this, it's going to take me to MJC. All right, so that's that. All right, so back to UML-like diagrams. Okay. What are we doing today? Variables. We're doing variables. Okay. So we looked at this last week. I just want a blank page so I can talk about this. I don't want that. I want this. Okay, we'll talk about this. The UML-like diagram is divided into 3 sections. Top section, name of the class. Middle section, all the attributes of the car objects that are being produced. Bottom section are all the methods or actions that the car object can take. In order to make a new car object, we learned this last week. We start with the word new, and then we find the constructor. How do I find the constructor? Go to the class, car, find a method with the same name, car. There it is. Don't forget the parentheses. That's part of the method. All statements in Java and then a semicolon. We learned that last week. Now what we're going to do is save this new car object in a variable. I'm going to use the assignment operator, which looks like an equal sign. That is not an equal sign in Java. That is the equal sign. That is not an equal sign. That is the assignment operator. We're going to use the assignment operator to assign this new car object into a variable. Now, what most people do, most software developers do, is they take the name of the class and lowercase it. So car is the name of the class, but I want to lowercase it. And so that is the name of my variable. In Java, you cannot just write the name of a variable. You also have to specify the data type of the variable. Data type is what kinds of things can you put inside this object, this variable that you just created. Well, right now it's storing a car object. So we're going to set the data type to car, the name of the class, capital C. And that's telling Java this variable can hold all the objects that this car factory can produce. So it can produce blue cars, red cars, green cars, orange cars. So all the cars that it can produce, whatever car it can produce, we can store it inside this variable. That's what this data type means. Okay, and that's how you do it. There's my answer. The check is the first word is capitalized, the last word is capitalized, and all words in between is lowercase. So make sure you check for that. So now, did you have to name the variable car? No, you could have named it my car. If you're into giving your car names, I don't know what's the name for a car. Beats me. I don't name my car. It's Honey. Don't ask. I'm just making up a car name. I don't know. Does anybody actually call their car Honey? Hope not. What is a good car name? I don't know. I don't name my cars. Okay. You could have said, what is the model of your car? Well, maybe you're driving around in a Model T. Hope not. But that is the model of the car. You could say Model T. Maybe you want to go with the company that made the car. So how about Ford? Um, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can put anything you want in here. The only thing you're not allowed to do is have spaces. This will not work. You cannot have spaces in your variable name. And it can't start with a letter, has to start, it cannot start with a number, has to start with a letter. How about my favorite car? So you could do that, okay? All right, let's go back to take the name of the class, car, lowercase it, car. That's what I'm gonna use. You use whatever you want. Um, Hopefully you got this. What I recommend you do now is uh, you on a sheet of paper, just by looking at just only this, create a new car object, pause the video. You're going to have to pause the video. There's no way you can do this without pausing the video and actually write this out on a sheet of paper. I'm going to tell you the answer now. We're going to go back to what we learned last week, which is create a new car object, start with the word new, then we find the constructor. How do we do that? Look at the name of the class, find a method with the same name, car. There it is right there. That method has parentheses on it. All statements in Java and then a semicolon. To the left of this, I need an assignment operator. It looks like an equal sign. To the left of the equal sign, I need a variable name. I'm going to take the class name and lowercase it car. To the left of that, I need the data type of the car. I'm going to take the name of the class car with a capital C. The check is first word is capitalized. I can't do the highlight. All right, first word is capitalized, last word is capitalized. All the words in between lowercase, that's your check, and that's how you make a car object, and store it in this variable named car. It won't highlight this guy right here, a car. All right, hopefully you got that. All right, you do this one. Create a dog object, store it in a variable named dog. Go. Um, Pause the video. I'm going to give you the answer now. We start off the same way we did last week. We start by creating a new dog object. Write the word new. Find the constructor. Name of the class is dog. Find a method with the same name. There it is, dog with parentheses. Okay, all statements in Java end in a semicolon. To the left of this, we're going to put in the assignment operator because what we're going to do is take this new dog object and assign it to a variable. What is the name of our variable? Take the name of the class, dog, lowercase it. So it's going to be lowercase dog. And then in Java, you cannot just write the name of a variable. You have to specify what kinds of things can be stored in this variable. Well, right now it's storing a dog object. Therefore, the data type has to be the name of the class dog with a capital D. And then what that's saying is this variable can hold any object that this dog factory produces. Well, this factory is producing all kinds of different dogs. Now, any dog that this factory produces can be stored in this variable. The check is the first word is capitalized, the last word is capitalized, all words in between lowercase. That's your check. Okay, hopefully you got that. If not, you should erase this and start over again and just keep practicing this until you get it right. Rewind the video to see the answer after you write it down. If you still got it wrong, erase your answer, rewind the video, try again. All right, get the idea. Keep going until keep doing that over and over again until you get the right answer. I'm telling you, this works. Whether you do it or not is up to you, but I'm telling you, this method does work. Okay, you do person. Create a new person object, store it in a variable. I'm going to tell you my answer. You have to pause the video to do this. Start off what we did last week. Start off with the word new, then find the constructor. Name of the class is person. We're looking for a method with the same name. There it is right there. That is the constructor. So write that. Person. Parentheses. To the left of that, we need an assignment operator. It's like an equal sign. We're going to assign this new person object to a variable name. Well, what is the name we're going to give our variable? Take the name of the class and lowercase it. Person. Lowercase person. In Java, you cannot just write the name of a variable. You have to specify the data type. Well, the data type is person, the name of the class, capital P. Okay, which is saying that this variable can hold any object that this person class can create. It's a factory. Whatever person can be created from this person factory, we can store in this variable. That's what's saying. All statements in Java and then a semicolon. There is the final answer. Hopefully you got it. If not, you should erase this. I'm going to erase it. Pause the video and redo it. And then rewind the video to see if you got the right answer. That's my suggestion. You do what you want with that suggestion, but that is my suggestion. Okay, we're moving on. Do the same thing with pencil. Create a new pencil object, store it in a variable. We're going to start off the same way, starting off with the word new, and then find the constructor. Well, the name of the class is pencil. Find a method with the same name. There it is right there. There is my constructor. Pencil. Parentheses, all statements in Java, and then a semicolon. We want to assign this with an assignment operator to a variable. Name of the variable is going to be the name of the class, lowercase it. So pencil, lowercase pencil. Okay. And now in Java, all variables must have a data type. So what can be stored inside of this variable? Right now, we're storing a pencil object. Therefore, it's reasonable to set the data type to pencil. So any oops, not there. Any object that we can store any pencil object that this pencil factory can create. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Pencil. The error check is first word is capitalized, last word is capitalized. Okay, I can't do it there. All words in between lowercase. Okay, there's your check. Make sure you run that check. And again, if you got it wrong, then erase. I'm going to erase this. You rewrite your answer, then rewind the video, see if you got it right. Okay. My suggestion, do what you want with it. We're going to do the same thing with balloon. Okay. So we'll speed this up because I think we've got it. At least, well, the ones who are actually doing the writing, they've got it. Now, if you're not doing the writing, then you might go, whatever. Okay. People are doing the writing. They got this. How do I know that? Because I teach this class in person. And by the time we get to balloon, everybody has the right answer because I kind of watch everybody and I don't see anybody writing. I'm going to mention it. So I'm trying to encourage everybody to use a pencil on a piece of paper to write this answer. So we start off with the word new because that's how you create new objects in Java. We find the constructor. Name of the class is balloon. Find a method with the same name. There it is right there. Let's copy that out. Let's use that one. I'll go back over here, paste. All statements in Java end in a semicolon. So in order to save this brand new balloon object into a variable, we need an assignment operator. Now we need to give our variable a name. Well, we're going to take the name of the class and lowercase it, so it's going to be balloon. Okay, in Java, you cannot just write the name of a variable. You must specify the data type. Well, right now, this variable is holding a balloon object, so it makes sense to set the data type to the name of the class, which is balloon with a capital B. Not there. Over here. Balloon with a capital B. There's the answer. Okay. The check is the first word is capitalized, the last word is capitalized, all words in between lowercase. Run that check. Okay, you do this one for two numbers. Now pause the video. Gonna write the answer now. We start with the word new. Always start with the word new. We need to find the constructor. Name of the class is two numbers. Find a method with the same name. There it is right there. There is my constructor. Copy that out. Put it over here. All statements in Java end in a semicolon. To the left of this, we're going to have an assignment operator because we want to assign this new two numbers object to a variable. What is the name of our variable? Take the name of the class and lowercase it. So this is going to be lowercase two numbers. Two numbers lowercase. Okay. In Java, you cannot just write the name of a variable. You have to specify the data type. Well, this is a two numbers variable. So let's just write the name of the class, which is capital two numbers. There is your answer. So hopefully this makes sense. And if you got this answer wrong, then what you need to do is rewrite your answer, rewind the video, and check it. Okay, keep doing it until you get the right answer. I guarantee you, if you actually do that, uh, you'll have this. Yes, there is a little bit of memorization to it. What memorization? You have to remember all the steps. You have to remember, start with the word new, then write the constructor, two numbers, and all statements end in a semicolon. And then to the left of it, you got to have an assignment operator, and then the name of the variable. Take the name of the class in lowercase it. And then to the left of that, write the name of the class. So you're just gonna have to memorize that. I don't know how else you're gonna do it. Is that a lot of memorization? No. When I was an undergraduate, I took acting, and every week we were given these crazy acting scenes with lots of dialogue. We had to memorize the entire dialogue and then perform and then act it out to get a grade. Every week we did that. That was a lot of memorization. History class. What happens in a history class? Well, I don't know about your generation, but in my generation, a history professor would come up to the front of the class and talk about, in 1775, all this stuff happened. In 1776, all this stuff happened. 1778, all this happened. And then on the exam, you would say, what happened in 1779? Yeah, again, we weren't allowed to use computers. We couldn't bring our notes. We couldn't bring our textbook to the exam. You either knew the answer or you didn't. How did you know the answer? You memorized it. So this is not. If you think this is a lot of memorization, I guarantee you this is not. This is pretty easy. You're not memorizing a play. You're not memorizing what happened, hundreds of years ago. You're not doing any of that. All you're doing is memorizing how to write this one line. All right. So don't send me email. This is too much work. I can't do this. I can't memorize all this. So I'm going to look at you and, well, then you don't belong in college. That's going to be my response because how do you do history? You got to memorize it. There's no other way. Well, I don't know. I guess you could take a history class where you do analysis of what happened and not memorize things. What is the significance of the signing of the Constitution? Well, then you still got to memorize it because that's what's going to be on the exam. What is the significance of the signing of the Constitution? Yeah. So there is still memorization. So, all right, whatever. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Hopefully, I made my case. This is not too much memorization. Do not send me emails saying this is too much memorization. I'm not doing it. Well, drop the class. You're in college. I'm expecting you to memorize some things. Okay, here's the dean's list. This is what the dean cares about. At the end of the semester, we're going to take two final exams. One of those final exams is going to be this, the dean's list. Develop solutions to programming problems. I'm going to give you a very, very simple programming problem. We are going to go over that problem over and over and over and over, just like we're going over how to write code for UML-like diagrams. We go over it over and over and over again. I guarantee you by the end of the semester, when you take this final exam, you can memorize it if you want to. There's no need to because the final exam is open notes. Closed computer, but open notes, open book. So as long as you write it down somewhere, you can bring it with you to the final exam. So I'm going to give you a simple programming problem. You're going to write the solution. Syntax are all the grammar rules. We have some grammar rules. We actually know some grammar rules now. So in grammar rules, if I want to do a line break, I know I got to do BR. Okay. If you want to break that grammar rule, you could type RB. Okay. You're going to get hit with a syntax error. It says, I don't know what RB is. There's no such tag. There is no RB tag. Well, that's a syntax error. You're not following all the rules for writing stuff in that language. In English, an example of bad grammar would be store, milk, buy, go, I. All the words are there, but they're in mixed up order. Sentence doesn't make any sense. You broke all the grammar rules. Semantics is you followed all the grammar rules, but you got the wrong answer. So an example, if I wanted to write a web page that says hello, and I wrote this, Well, that's a semantic error because it doesn't say hello, right? It's going to render as by, not hello. You made a semantic error. In English, an example of a semantic error is red ate a mountain. This is perfect grammar. If you go tell that sentence to an English professor, yep, you followed all the grammar rules. That is perfect grammar, but the answer doesn't make any sense. Red is a color. Colors can't eat anything. And if it could eat something, it definitely couldn't eat an entire mountain. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one, the programming cycle. Not every step in the programming cycle is included here. I only included the steps that a software developer would be involved in because most of you, most of the computer science majors in this class, their goal is to become a software developer. There's no point in learning what happens in the programming cycle before and after. How about we just learn what you need to know to create code? And the first thing you need to do to create code is go get the requirements. What is this code supposed to do? If you're a freelancer, it's easy. Grab the customer and say, what do you want this code to do? The customer's going to say, I want to do this, and I want to do that. And if this happens, make it do that. And if that other thing happens, make it do this other thing, right? You write all this stuff down, and then you negotiate a price. As if I write code for that does all of these requirements, and you're going to pay me this amount of money. It's a negotiation. And customers say that's too high. Let's eliminate some of these requirements and yada, yada, yada. Well, what if you work for a company? Then you're going to be placed on a programming team. The days where the lone software developer is alone in a room, feeding themselves pizza and Coke 24/7, writing code, that doesn't happen anymore. Nobody writes code all by themselves. You will be placed on a coding team. You will be given tasks to perform on that team. And so you'll be given. So the way we do it at our company is we give user stories to the people who are going to write the code. And the user story goes something like, if I was a user of this code, then I would like to be able to do, and then there's the requirement. So you have to take these user stories and convert them into requirements. So what is this code supposed to do? All right. So once you have the requirements, then you got to go into design. Now for this course, this is real easy because all designs in this class is going to be pseudocode. What the heck is pseudocode? Pseudocode is what is the code supposed to do written in plain, ordinary English. You go, what are you talking about? Plain, ordinary English for what we've been doing is write hello in Courier. With the size of 7 and the color blue. Okay, written in plain, ordinary English, easy to understand, easy to read. And that's pseudocode. Now, what if you're a professional? You've been at this for a long time. You're at the top of your game, and they give you a task that requires writing hundreds of pages of code. What are you going to do? You're not going to write pseudocode. What you're going to do is write UML diagrams. Each diagram will have the name of a class, and the middle will have all the properties of the class, and the bottom will have all the methods that objects of that class can perform. And you're going to write one for every kind of object. Then you're going to write completely different set of diagrams to show how these objects interact with each other. What do I mean by that? Think of a baseball game. If you're familiar with baseball, a pitcher throws a ball to the catcher. Okay, so those two guys have to, well, could be gals. Those two people, let's switch it to gender neutral people. Those two people have to exist in order for the ball to be pitched by a pitcher and a catcher to catch it. Why am I going off on that tangent? I have no idea. I was trying to why did I go down that path? Oh, because if you're writing UML-like diagrams, you do have to come up with separate diagrams to show how these objects interact with each other. And I gave the example that a pitcher has to throw a ball to a catcher, and then I are getting targeted. Yeah, right. Went way too much detail. Stop that. Keep it general. Pitcher throws ball to catcher. That's all you need to know. Two objects have to interact with each other. And yes, the ball could be considered another object. So three objects have to interact with each other. And then you also have to create brand new set of diagrams to see what are you going to do to respond to an event. So in a baseball, if you're familiar with baseball, after three strikes, then the team that's batting becomes the team that goes out into the field, and the team that was out in the field becomes the team that's batting. And so people will have to walk across the field. So there has to be some changeover that happens. Um, and so that's you need diagrams to show all that. So when an event after the inning is after the I am not a baseball fan. All I know is after three strikes, then the teams change. Okay, so you have to capture that. I'm sure somebody who's an avid baseball fan will say, you don't know anything about baseball, do you? Well, I know after three strikes, people on the field walk to the batter's box, and people in the batter's box walk out to the field. So you see that on TV. That's all I know about baseball. Don't ask me baseball questions. I don't know. Okay, moving away from that. So that's the design. How are you going to write this code? Again, for this class, for you, the only design that you need to make is pseudo code. Write in plain, ordinary English what this code is going to do. Okay, once you have your pseudo code, you can convert that into real code. So for the second half of the semester, we're going to do Java, and we'll do Java every single week for the last half of the semester. So once we hit midterm, then we switch over to Java, and we stay on Java till the end of the course. So you'll be writing Java code. And that's it. You just take your design and write Java code. So what I like to do is take my pseudo code, make those comments inside the code, and then under each comment, I write down the lines of Java code to fulfill um, that comment. So if that comment is write hello, then right under it, I would write the Java code to print hello on the screen. Okay, hopefully you got the idea. So you would write your Java code. Once you finish writing your Java code, you're going to test, and this is where a lot of people, no matter how many times I repeat this, they get this you had with the freelancer as a freelancer. If I write code that does all of these stuffs, meets all of these requirements, then you're going to pay me. Well, you have to demonstrate you've met all those requirements. How do you do that? Well, you sit down with the customer and you say, okay, the first thing you told me to do, you want the code to do this. You run the code and say, hey, it does that. And the second thing you told me you want the code to do is do this other thing. You run the code, show it does that, and you do that for every single requirement. Then you say, I've met all your requirements, now pay me. Okay, that's great for the freelancer. What about the person on the programming team? That depends on the project lead. So some project leads will make you go through the same thing. Said, prove to me you've met every single requirement. Tell me the requirement, and then demo the code and show me you've met the requirement. Um, I don't do that. What I ask my team to do is write computer code that tests every single requirement. For every single requirement that you have to write a test to prove that you've met that requirement. It's pretty easy to do after you've done it, 10 years. You can do it in your sleep. I know this. I don't even understand what you just said. Well, you're not a software developer. That's why you're taking this course. Don't worry about it right now. Right now, all you are so you're not going to have to write any test code for this course. The only thing you need to write is pseudo code. Okay, code written in plain or in English that describes what this code is going to do. All right. Um, Okay, so testing is not to test for bugs, it's to test you met all the requirements. Okay, so, and I got into that example of what do I do? Well, everybody has to write a test code for every single requirement. Other team leads, what they do is you write a paper test with check boxes, and you give it to somebody who's a professional tester, and they test the code to see if it meets all the requirements. You have to come up with the test, but you hand over the written test plan to a person who makes a living running other people's test plans. And there are, in large companies, there are entire departments full of these people. Their only job is to run other people's test plans. It's really nice when you have them, but you have to come up with the test plan. But that's a lot easier than writing tests. Writing a test plan for a human to do the testing is a lot easier and faster than writing computer code to do the testing for you. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. We're not doing that in this class. You are going to write some very, very simple test plans when we get to Java. Very, very simple. Don't lose sleep over it. These tests are going to be some of them are just going to be draw a diagram and saying, when I run this code, do I see this nice graphic art image? And then you show a picture of the image. How did you get the image? Well, you could have got it from the instructions, because sometimes I include the image. Well, a lot of times I do. I include the image that I'm expecting to see, or you can write the code and then when that image pops up, take a screenshot of it and put that in the test plan. Do you see this image? Okay, simple as that. Very simple test plan. Okay, so once you're done testing the code, you made the sale, you got the money, you proved to the customer you met all the requirements, or you proved to your project lead you met all the requirements, and you sold the software to whoever the buyer is. What happens after that? Well, then we go into maintenance mode. So in maintenance mode, you can make agreements with the customer to fix any bugs that they find. Trust me, they will find lots of bugs. And then you can strike an agreement with the customer saying, okay, if you pay me this amount of money, I can fix these bugs. If you pay me more money, I'll fix more bugs. If you pay me less money, we can take some bugs off. I won't fix those. This is the only industry I know of where stuff that is directly your fault because the coding team was were the people who put the bugs in the code. They wrote the code. They're responsible for all those bugs, but yet they ask the customer to pay to fix those bugs. It's common. Think about when you buy like a brand new car, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, it falls apart. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to go back to the dealer and saying, hey, this car just fell apart on me. I got a warranty. You need to fix this and not charge me for it. And that's what they'll do. Okay. But not in software development. If there's bugs in the code, the customer has to pay somebody to fix those bugs. It's a very strange industry, but that's how it really is. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do for maintenance, as you can fix bugs. You can also add new features. The customer might say, well, the software is good, but we can't use it because it's missing this feature. Well, then agree on a price and add the feature in it. Or you can add, nice to have features like, wow, wouldn't it be cool, instead of rendering it like this, we render it like this other thing and it looks really fancy and it looks really cool. And so, well, that's going to cost you some money if you want it to look like that. So, and if you have thousands of customers, what a lot of companies do is they have a monthly subscription service. You pay money to the company every month or maybe yearly, and then any updates, any bug fixes, you get them for free. So a lot of companies do that, and that's how they continue making money. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go on to the last one. Pseudocode is code written in plain, ordinary English that describes what the code is going to do. A comment is you're describing what the next couple of lines of code is going to do. So an example of a comment would be something like this. This could be a comment for the next line of code, because I can easily write this in HTML as one line of code. Yes, and you can put comments in HTML code. And if you're interested, you can Google that, find out how to do that. And that's it. We're done. Yay. I'll see you next time. Bye.